Tampa Prep, I had a good time there. I think it was like, overall great, good experience. I don't know. I have no real complaints about it. I think it was actually a much better school for me because where I was going previously was like this like really Christian school, St. Mary's, and like that place like really constrained me creatively.
So you think that you found people that helped you?
Misty Ambrose for sure, our art teacher in middle school. She just allowed me to like do whatever, like art wise, and that allowed me to really kind of develop a lot of ideas creatively. I mean, just these people that like I don't know made me feel more comfortable in myself.
So you definitely think that like Tampa Prep was like one of those schools where it was very good for like where you are now?
You know, here and there, I would say more so in middle school than high school. I mean, it's a little bit my fault, but they definitely like, I mean, you know, I went to military school after high school. I went to the Citadel for my first 3 years of college, and that obviously like ended up not really being the right choice for me. And so I kind of wish that there was a little bit more college guidance counseling that was a little bit more personalized and like real, you know, some better access to mental health. And these are things that I think they've all improved since we left, but
That's true. I gotta ask, why art?
yeah, nobody expected me to be an artist, did they? At least nobody that knew me in high school expected me to become an artist. In middle school, I was really, really into it. And then at home, like it just wasn't really encouraged at all. So that and music I was really into in middle school, but again, just wasn't encouraged. And so I didn't really feel like that was like something I could choose to do my rest of my life for a while. So that's why like I got into wrestling, and then that got me into like more of like a military mindset, I guess. So that's pretty much why I went to the Citadel, because I was like, oh yeah, this is like the lifestyle that works for me. But I mean, in reality, it was really just like a lack of like encouragement from other people. So after my second year being a Citadel, I decided to take my second semester and go to Barcelona to study abroad. No parents, no school. So I was actually like really encouraged to play music, played guitar and stuff. But in Spain, like I was able to like write songs with my neighbor, and we would go and perform them at like open mics around town. And then I would like buy a canvas and paint it. And my roommates that I was with were like, yo, that's awesome. Like you should keep doing this stuff. So then that kind of like sparked the passion back up. And then I came back from Spain, and I started like really pursuing music and art. And I actually started getting gigs and like mural jobs.
So what made you decide resin out of every other medium in art? Like, did you start with
Yeah.
resin or did you go from canvas to resin?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first started painting, like after Spain, my goal was to just do like street art and murals, because I had the mentality that art should be like a little bit more public and accessible to like everybody, which I do still agree, but there's a time and a place for every style of art. And where I found myself now is more in like just fine art, try to get in galleries and museums. But went from murals to canvas.
So why art though?
Why art? I don't really have a choice, man. Like I pushed it down for so long, and I just feel like it bursted out of me when I went to Spain, and now I just like the can of worms is open, and there's no going back now. I just feel like personally it's just the best way that I express myself and my thoughts, emotions, feelings, wants, etc.
So you think you were born an artist? Like you had like that trait of being an artist?
Oh,
Like,
totally. I mean, I was drawing ever since I like was able to. I was drawing like places I wanted to be, like things I wanted to do, stuff like that. And I think what inspired that, I mean, this goes like pretty deep, but like my mom passed away when I was young, and that caused a lot of grief that I didn't know how to express, and I didn't have like a good family environment that was conducive to like personal expression. So I guess my outlet was art.
so if you had the opportunity to
Hmm.
interview, let's say, one person that you know personally and one
Okay.
person in the world,
Mhm.
who would it be?
Personally, I'd like to interview this artist I know, Olivia Bonilla. She is one of like the most hardworking people I know. She, daughter of immigrants from Colombia, came here to Charleston when she was like 20, like six or something like that. And in the past 3 years, she's established herself as like a very well-known artist in Charleston and is in galleries across the U.S. I was her studio assistant for the past like 2-ish months up until about 2 weeks ago. It was just really awesome getting to work in an environment with an established artist like that, and like learning the professionalism behind it. So I think that she would have like a extremely good wealth of knowledge, especially with her like story on like things to share about not only like the world of art, but you know what it means to be an artist and a woman in art too. Like nonetheless, like
Yeah, I mean, I also think her point of view would be very
Mm,
interesting because like at least for like growing up with like parents who are from like South America, like
hmm.
there's like this notion that like some jobs aren't like feasible. So like you shouldn't do like acting or like you shouldn't be on TV, like all of these things. And it's like I'd love
Oh
to
yeah.
like ask her like were her parents ever being like no you can't like become an artist, and is
Hmm.
that why like she moved to the US?
In the world though, and this is living, correct?
I've had people say living or non-living, so you can pick
Hmm.
either.
I'll go with living because there is an artist I really would love to um, meet and interview. His name's Daniel Arsham. He is the creative director for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He works with Tiffany, MoMA, etc. I mean, he's one of the most well-known living artists for sure. And it'd be really awesome to get to know him because I really love his style and what he does with sculpture mainly. He is just a really cool imagination that I'd like to pick at a little bit and get to understand.
That definitely sounds like someone who'd be interesting. So he works with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Tiffany and
Yeah.
Co. Mediums does
He
he
works
work?
with the Louvre in Paris, the Met. Yeah, he's just all over. I mean, he's so many different companies that he works
What
with. It's
what
awesome.
mediums does he work in? Is it just like is it
Literally everything,
bronze?
like bronze to marble to crystal to paintings to drawings to leather work, literally everything.
What
Mhm.
keeps you going? Because like the life of an artist is very difficult. It's very
Yeah.
taxed. So what gets you out
So,
of bed every morning?
oh, I'm just really excited about these projects that I've got going on right now. I mean, on top of my art, I also include outreach with my stuff. So right now, I'm actually developing a camp for kids with the local hospital here, MUSC, and then this foundation that I volunteer for, Bridges of Hope, to create a day camp this summer for kids who have lost a parent or loved one and give them a chance to create some artwork and exhibit it at a local gallery here in Charleston. So stuff like that gets me up because like that's stuff that I went through and like things that I want to give back. And I create art to like try and relate an experience called that says like I wish that I could relate the intangibles to you. And that's like what I think art does. Art is like that gap between things. It's not like the connection, but that gap. And to do that and try and relate to people as much as I can. Well, not relate to people as much as I can, but to have things that people can relate with.
Yeah, like your
Like
pieces invoke like some kind of memory or feeling for the person who's seeing it.
yeah, or like comfort that, you know, people go through similar things, whether it be like depression, happiness, etc. Like everything's pretty shared experience with humanity, I feel like.
Yeah, very true.
So that's like what gets me going is like trying to help people out. Like that's what I want to do. Like that's all I want to do really.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we all need is some motivation to keep going, to pursue our passion.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. Like I said, if I try and fight this, if I try and go to like pursue something in the crazy opposite direction, like the military or something like that, like it'll just blow up in my face. It's just like standing against the grain.
I bet. So here, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to plug whatever you want.
Well, I just finished creating a series of resin art prints of some of my favorite paintings that I've done in the past 2 years. And if you go on my website, www.landoncarterart.com, and go to the shop section, you can check them out. It's a great way to get introduced to my art as a collector and check out my portfolio.
Perfect. Well, thank you for coming onto my podcast. I'm excited for this to be released.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.